This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $1.99. Why pay $1.19 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $1.99? If you buy today, it's $1.99. If you buy tomorrow, it's $1.99. And if you buy Saturday, it's $1.99. Get up to 25 days for only $1.99, so pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at SportsMemo.com.
Oh, welcome to Wager Talk Today, Teddy. I love the navy blue. A good night for me last night. I'm a happy guy again. Gordon, Mathers, Gene, Justin, Frank, Bud, Jamal. Really appreciate you guys sitting and waiting for the show to begin. Matt, Murray, Philip, Chance, Mike, we love having you all. Teddy, today's a monster. You can hear it in my voice. Psyched, I'm pumped. Dave Koken right off the top. Are you kidding me? College football machine. We're doing the Louisville game, the Virginia Tech game, Florida versus Texas A&M. Those are three high-profile games. Gianni the Greek up after that. And you want to talk high-profile? We're doing tonight's game. We're doing Sunday night's NFL game. We're doing Monday night's NFL game. I'm wrong about that. Tampa Bay, Indy, Minnesota. Get a breath, Prez. What's up, Teddy? How are you today, my friend?
You're right there, Lawrence. Did you jam up with the roids this morning or something, dude? You got a little extra pep in your step. Congrats on a good night last night. Unfortunately, my clients and I didn't share that with you. I had a play on the Yankees yesterday, and they were pretty much wrong, although there was a hotly contested non-third strike versus a hotly contested third strike that sure changed that ballgame in a big way and allowed Tampa to run away with it. But Lawrence, it is a jam-packed show. Obviously, any day that we've got NFL going, college football going, Major League Baseball playoffs going, I can talk NBA today because the NBA finals got to wait till tomorrow for that one. But no question, we do have a loaded show.
Yeah, and dude, is now a good time to tell you I was on Tampa Bay?
Congratulations, right side winner.
Thank you, brother. There was this hotly contested third strike that turned the game.
It did.
Yeah, I was playing poker. I was playing poker with Carm at the time, and one of the guys wouldn't come unless we had the debate on. Anyway. Dude, gotta let everybody know ahead of time. Today is Q&A day. At the end of the show, we're going to take a 1-minute break, and then me, Teddy, and Ralph Michaels are back to answer any questions you have. Save the questions until the end of the show. We do it every Thursday. And last week was an awesome segment. Now, to Dave Koken, 10-3 in college football. Nothing is better than when we tell everybody that Dave is a college football god and he delivers. How are you, my friend? You're looking good.
Well, I don't know about looking good. I think those days are done. But
we should just stop the show. That was beautiful.
Baseball's been really good. Going back to last postseason, 5-0 last postseason and 5-1 this postseason. So 10-1 on baseball playoffs. The golf matchups, I don't do much of those, but I have one this week, and they're 15-4-1. Winning in pro football, I had a 5% play on the Vikings on Sunday, the first 5% play I've had in the NFL since January of 2019, which tells you how infrequently I do NFL 5%. In the college, well, those numbers that are on the screen kind of tell the story. So, yeah, I'm reasonably content right now. But those plays, the thing is, those plays are all done. Now I got to go out and get the ones that haven't started yet.
Well, let's start with three of them, if you will. Texas A&M hosting Florida. No, we're not starting with that game. We're starting with the Louisville game. -4.5 versus Georgia Tech. A total of 64. It's on tomorrow night. Both teams 1-2. Dave, where are we going in this one?
Well, I went with Louisville in the game. I laid 4. I made the number 9. So it fit on my projections. There's a lot not to like on these two teams. The quarterback play for Louisville has been spotty. Cunningham's been all over the place. He's been very indecisive in the pocket, and he's not using his legs at all, which I really don't understand. So he's not playing at the level he did last season. And the Cardinals were not expected to be as good as they were a year ago and have delivered on that count. But the flip side of it is Georgia Tech had that good first game, and it's been really all downhill since then for their quarterback, Sims. He has been a turnover machine. He's got 8 interceptions already. He can run the ball, but he doesn't throw it real well. So what I'm expecting here, in terms of schemes, I think Louisville might drop to a lot of single coverage in an effort to just contain the run game and dare Sims to beat them through the air. And I don't think he can do it. So it plays out for me on my numbers. It plays out for me in terms of how I think the game will be plotted by the respective coaches. I like Louisville to win. I put that up as a play. It is also the free play this week. My free plays are always actual selections. They're not added opinions. They are games that are being given out. So Louisville is a play for me, and they're the free play, and there you go as far as that one's concerned.
So let me ask you about this Georgia Tech team, because as you mentioned, they had the impressive high-profile victory week 1. And since then, it seems like things have gone in the wrong direction. Is this a hopeless team? Is this a Yellow Jackets team that is a pretty fair squad to bet against moving forward? Or is this just a wrong opponent for them at the wrong time? Louisville, a pretty good team. They're certainly hungry off a disappointing start.
I think it depends on the progress Sims makes. He looked really good in the first game. He has not looked good since. And he's going to have to improve in terms of what teams are showing him. I think his inexperience is definitely in play right now. If he comes around, their offense could get pretty good because they've got some guys who can run the football, and I like teams that can run the football. The defense is a work in progress. I mean, look, Collins inherited a bare cupboard from Coach Johnson. They ran a completely different scheme. It was a personnel that was basically brought in to run the triple option, which is done. They don't do that anymore. So it's a complete rebuild. And from that standpoint, I think Collins is actually ahead of schedule. And Georgia Tech could be a pretty decent team by next year as he gets better players in. But right now, I think Georgia Tech's not real good. And Louisville, however, needs to pick it up. Louisville has not played to the level I think most people thought they would play at coming into this season. They really got outclassed by Miami, had a terrible time with the Hurricanes' team speed in that game. And that looks like it might be an ongoing issue for them. They're not the fastest team around.
Dave Koken, noon Eastern Saturday. Virginia Tech, who I'm extremely upset with, are playing plus 4.5.
Upset with them?
I'll get to it. Plus 4.5 to Virginia Tech, a total of 59. And I had the Hokies as my 5% play last Saturday, and
not as
that
a 5%.
Didn't go very well, Dave.
Well, you got.
That's why I'm upset.
Look, they played a good game. They had 620 yards in offense. Duke, the quarterback, who's been awful for Duke, was a lot better last week. He hit some targets downfield, and but Virginia Tech was clearly the right side of the game. They just didn't cover. And this is, to me, in terms of the game I want to watch the most this weekend, this is number one. This is a game I really want to see. Unfortunately, it's at the bottom end of the list in terms of games I'm thinking about betting on. I think it's a really tough game. Burmeister has been playing quarterback for Virginia Tech. Now, Hooker was available last week, and if there was something for me to be upset about, it was that I handicapped the game thinking that Hooker would enter the game at some point for Virginia Tech. He never did. And if they got 620 yards of offense with Burmeister on the field, they might have had 720 yards of offense with Hooker on the field. I think he's the better quarterback. And I'm not sure what Virginia Tech's doing this week as far as the quarterback rotation is concerned. Burmeister's got legs. His arm is not the best. He just doesn't have a real power arm. He's not very accurate downfield. He missed a couple of wide open guys that could have been touchdowns last week. But the team's been playing with him, so maybe Fuente feels they've got a better feel offensively with Burmeister on the field. The Tech defense, we'll see on the Tech defense. I don't think it's their strong point this year, and part of the problem has been virus issues, positive test issues, or whatever it was. They were missing 4 defensive backs last week, and that's part of the reason Bryce looked good against them. North Carolina did what they had to do. I'm not sure they're where I thought they would be to start the season. I was really high on the Tar Heels coming into the season. I thought, boy, this might be, they're obviously a top 20 team. They might even be a borderline top 10 team. They haven't been quite at that level, but it's not like they've been bad either. And I think it's a team that's going to continue to improve as the season goes along. I made the number on this game pretty close to even. I mean, I gave the edge to North Carolina, but 3, 8, 10, 13. It looks like about 2.5 points is where I make the line. So I think the value is with Virginia Tech. But the reason I said pretty quickly that I'm not going to play it is I just don't know who's on the field. These teams with massive absences, there's no way of knowing who's coming back and who's still sitting out. And that did hurt last week. There's no question that played into the result of the Duke game. I can't make the same mistake again. I would lean Virginia Tech, but it's not going to be a bet for me.
Yeah, do we have a sense yet? I mean, obviously the Hokies last week missing, 20-something players due to COVID restrictions. Do we have any sense of how many of those guys are coming back? How many new guys are out? What type of a team Virginia Tech's going to be fielding on Saturday as they take on the Tar Heels?
All I can do is suggest you read the local papers. You'll get a better feel for it. And I'll probably check tomorrow. It's basically, to be quite honest, checking on Thursday hasn't yielded much information. You want to get the last day before the game reports from the beat writers, and maybe you can get some feel for it there. But, a lot of schools are being closed-mouthed about who's playing and who's not. And I did not know until shortly before game time last week that the defensive backfield, I knew there were 21 guys out, but there'd been 33 the week before, so it was like, well, we're plus 12. Unfortunately, of the 21 that were out last week, 4 of them were two deeps in the defensive backfield, and it did have an impact on the game. That's just life in 2020. You're just going to have to deal with it, and it's why I'm playing lower volume than I ever have in college football.
Yeah,
I don't want to get caught with my pants down. Nobody else wants to see me with my pants down either, so it's kind of a mutual benefit there.
Next time you open the can for a great joke, let me handle it, please. Oh, my God. I had a vision of you getting caught with your pants down and almost fainted. Florida, Texas A&M. Been a while since Florida is in the national championship hunt. Here they sit number 3 on the road, -6.5 with a 57 on tap. Texas A&M, they're not bad either. Although 1-1 on the year, Florida needs this game. They need to keep rolling. Are they going to cover the number?
A&M needs the game too. They got torched last week by Alabama, but that was no surprise. Alabama's Alabama. Let's see the number I made first. I'll get that out of the way. It looks like 6.5. So terrific, right? And that's about where this game is. The one thing that I would worry about is that Florida is becoming really public. And part of the reason for that is Trask is on fire. And I don't pay much attention to Heisman odds because I'm not into that stuff. But I think I saw someplace where he's about even now with Trevor Lawrence as far as the Heisman odds are concerned. I might be wrong on that. It was just a quick glance for me, and that's something, again, I don't focus on. But that tells you how well Trask is playing. And he is. It's all legitimate. The problem with that is I think it's maybe overrating is the wrong word, but creating a lack of value on the Florida side because everybody's locked in on them now. And even though Florida gave up the point spread cover last week, they were really good, and A&M got smashed by Alabama. So I think that's all on the number here. I was hoping to see maybe if I like Florida here, I was hoping to see maybe 3.5, something like that. The odds makers jumped right in and made it 5.5. It got bet up to 6.5 very quickly. I think it's about where it should be, and I wouldn't guarantee that this is going to be a win. for Florida. They have, if I'm not mistaken, LSU up next week. And that might be a game that interests them more, particularly with the fact that, sometimes I worry about teams who watch game films of what their opponent did the prior week. And if Florida puts stock into Texas A&M's game film from last week, they might think this is a pretty easy trip to College Station. So their coaching staff's going to have to drill them on the fact that this is still Kyle, and it's still a really tough place to play, even with no fans or limited fans, whatever it is, on hand. I can't make a play here, and I can't really recommend anything strong other than to say that the public side will be Florida, and sometimes it's not the worst idea in the world to just blind fade the public if you really want to bet a game.
So I got to ask you about, there's a couple things I want to ask you about here. One, how much is Kyle Field worth right now? How much are college football home fields worth right now?
Okay. My largest home field advantage is 1, and it's 1. So exactly. So Kyle, is Kyle Field 0?
So is Kyle Field worth a 1 with no fans or limited
I think
fans?
they might be worth a 1. But that's
my other question.
It's 1. I mean, 1 isn't going to make a big difference. It's not going to be a determining factor in whether it's like, oh, that extra point puts me in. I got to play this now. At least not on the value meter that I use. I'm looking for bigger gaps than that. So, and this one landed right on the number. So even if I don't think, let me see. I did not give A&M, and actually I have a 0 for the home field on A&M. So I didn't even give him the 1 point. So if you want to give him 1, then that would make my price on the game 5.5 instead of 6.5. It's still, this is a well-priced game between two very good football teams. All I'm saying is I wouldn't run to the window and say, look at A&M, they can't defend anything, so they're going to get killed by Trask. Alabama is really good, and getting blown up by the Crimson Tide, especially in the way things are right now, is not an embarrassment. And remember that Jimbo Fisher and Saban aren't the best of pals, so Saban had a chance last week to add a score or two, and I think he did.
Real quick to close before we let you go, I want to ask you about Kellen Mond, who's one of these QBs who has been hyped and hyped and hyped, and every time I watch him play, I'm like, this guy's no good. He's back again for A&M.
I would say he's about where he was a few years ago.
Exactly.
And so the hype was, I think the hype was legitimate in that when you look at quarterbacks who were at the level he was at as a kid, it's like, well, he's going to get better. But it doesn't always happen. And I think that's what's taken place with him. We basically saw what we were going to see early on. He's decent. I mean, he's a good college quarterback, but he never became the great college quarterback people thought he was going to be. I think most people would have thought, to be honest, that he would have been in the NFL by this time, that he would have turned pro and declared for the draft. Didn't happen. He'll get a look at NFL camps next year because he's still got all the tools, but he just hasn't gotten much better. And that's part of why A&M maybe isn't quite where they want to be. But it's really tough to forecast that when you see the skills that he had early on and just see that he just didn't improve much.
Dave Koken. What an awesome segment, man. We absolutely love having you on. Just to summarize, everybody, Dave Koken is suggesting a no play on Florida, Texas A&M, unless you're desperate, then fade the public. Virginia Tech, a lean, but it's not getting his money. But Louisville is. That's a bet. You can find a write-up at WagerTalk.com and his free pick page. So there you go. Dave, anything to promote?
I don't think I'm going to have a 5% play this week. 75% the last 13 months on all 5% plays, but I just didn't find one that I liked enough on either the college or pro side this week. I'm not putting one out just to sell it. I make enough money on the sales where I don't have to force plays. So there won't be a 5 this week, but I've got one game circled for next week, and if the line cooperates, we'll definitely have a 5 in college next week.
Terrific
but
stuff.
Get the rest of the plays. I mean, I'm really doing quite well in everything right now, and that $199 through October 31st, all the plays through October 31st. It's a good deal. So grab it.
There you go, guys. Head to WagerTalk.com if you want to play Dave. $199 till the end of October. That is such a great deal. Mr. Koken, we love having you on every Thursday, college football with Dave Koken. You're also doing a new college football show with Joe Ranieri. My apologies that you have to put up with his hosting.
I like it. He's got the palm trees swaying in the background because he's down in Miami. I wish, to make it more fun, he actually had the camera a little low so he could see the two types of drivers that populate Miami in person. Have you guys?
I thought you wanted to see what was going on under his desk because I know.
No.
And with that said,
have you ever experienced Miami traffic?
Yes.
I will tell you, every city complains that they have the worst drivers. Miami has the worst drivers I have ever seen because there are no. It's either really old people who can't see over the wheel and are driving 12 miles an hour. Most of them have Jewish accents, by the way, or younger people who believe that the proper speed limit is 110 miles an hour. It is absolutely the worst drivers I've ever seen. They make Las Vegas drivers look great, Teddy.
Yeah, well, the chat room's going on. They agree with you, and I just want to say, Joe Ranieri is my mentor in hosting. He's the guy we all want to be, and now he's telling me to shut up and go to break. Let's go.
See ya.
Guys, Carmine Bianco, WagerTalk.com. Stoppage time, Champions League preview next week. Big bets. I got a ton of cash. I've got a couple big future bets. So forget about these 3-1 shots that Borman might give you. Forget about that Irish guy. The last time Ireland had a team, there was 11 guys on the field called O'Shea. Tune in next week, stoppage time, and you'll find all our big bets and our future bets on that show.
Marco is coming off a big week last week as he went 6-3 in football and is on a 10-3 run in all sports combined. Marco's hitting 67% of the year in college football. Going back to last season, Marco is 44-27 with his last 71 plays in college and pro football. That's 62% winners. This Sunday, Marco is releasing his 5% NFL Game of the Month. Last Sunday, Marco cashed with his 5% NFL high roller play on Indianapolis -2.5, a 19-11 winner. Get all of Sunday's NFL plays highlighted by Marco's 5% NFL Game of the Month for $39. Check it out at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today, your sports central for bettors. Every weekday here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Let's do a little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A recap of what happened last night. And look, last night's a baseball night. Yankees and under took the money. Tampa and over got the money. That both side and total, a good result for the house. Oakland and over took the money. Oakland and over got the money. That game, a bad result for the house. You could say with the Astros blowing that 3-run lead, it was a tough beat. It was a bad beat. I don't know if it was a really brutal beat, especially considering the state of the Astros bullpen and the fact that it didn't happen in the 8th or 9th inning. It wasn't a good beat if you had Houston. You didn't enjoy that game. Nonetheless, Oakland and over gets the money. That's good for bettors. I'll tell you what, the wise guys have been spot on with these Braves-Marlins totals. And we saw it again yesterday. There was some serious under money pouring in, especially at the leading indicator books, the books that cater to the syndicates and the wise guys. Money poured in on the under for Braves-Marlins yesterday, and the under cashed with room to spare. That, not a good result for the house. And, of course, the L.A. Dodgers, the square bettors paradise team. They were in every parlay, but at least for the bookmakers, the run line didn't cash on the Dodgers. The fact that the Padres came back in a thrilling game and a tough beat if you had San Diego in that contest, especially considering the incredible catch from Bellinger at the wall. to change the course of that game. Nonetheless, Dodgers do not cash on the run line. That saved the books in the end, but the Dodgers were still in every parlay. Not a great result for the house. Back to you, Prez.
Thank you, Teddy. Okay, well, let's go. We've got a bunch of you guys in the chat room. We really appreciate it. 263 people watching, 52 likes. So, guys, please hit that like button. Also, I just want to make mention, we just watched a Marco commercial. Guy's amazing, writes incredible analysis. Take advantage of that offer. As well, I went 2-0 last night in baseball, Teddy. I had the over in the Oakland game. I had Tampa Bay. I am now on a 15-3 baseball run. Guys, couple of days left of my promotion. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Only $99. Literally the Wayne Gretzky of packages. $99. I know that wasn't bad, right, Teddy? $99 till the end of the baseball playoffs. That's it. 99 freaking bucks. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Get down on that. I want to welcome, we got a guy here, Jewish Clan Kills. Yeah. What do you think of that name, Teddy?
No comment.
Yeah.
I think it's a it's a username, whatever. People have usernames.
Yeah.
If you want to get me talking about the Jewish clan, I don't know the Jewish clan.
The Jalen, nice to see you as well. Guys, Gianni, he's coming up. Let's take a commercial break. We'll get right to him. We got 3 NFL games to talk about, then Ralph Michaels, then Q&A.
This Saturday, Yanni will be releasing a 5% big move. You can get his big 5% winner with all of Yanni's other college football plays on Saturday for just $39. Yanni has turned a profit at WagerTalk in both 2018 and 2019. In 2020, his clients are up over 110%. Don't miss a single college football winner on Saturday with Yanni's College Football All Access Pass at WagerTalk.com.
Teddy, it's actually Gianni's turn up. And this is my favorite segment. This guy has more energy. Gianni, I got to tell you something before we even start, and I swear to God, this story. Last week, after the show, I called you, but you were doing another show, and then you called me, and I was doing something. We never really hooked up. So here's what I wanted to tell you. I come upstairs, and Vivian was listening to the show. She's my girl. And she goes,
a lovely
Lawrence.
woman. A very lovely woman. Just had to add that.
Right. Yeah. So she goes, Lawrence, I need you to Gianni me in bed tonight. That guy's got incredible energy. Swear to God, on my life, she has turned your name into a verb and has used it in the bedroom.
She knows.
No joke. No joke.
Women
She wanted me to Gianni her.
They have that sense about them. They know who's walking around. They get it.
Yeah, baby. Anyway, God bless America. Welcome to WagerTalk.com. What's to WagerTalk Today? What's going on with you?
Never better. Like I say, God bless America. Another great day ahead. We got football, baseball, weekend action. It doesn't get better than this. Honestly, it really doesn't. Brother. Win or lose.
Yeah, well, we're lucky to have you. Let's get straight to it. Tampa Bay tonight, -3.5 versus the Bears. A lot of money has come in on the Bears to bring that line down. Total of 44.5. I got a lot to say about that game. You can hear it all on the NFL presidential address. It's up at our YouTube channel. So, Gianni, why don't you take it over?
Yeah, I'll save the let you know exactly what I did. I actually bet this game. I released it to subscribers. It's a 4% play. I gave it out, I think, Monday or Tuesday, and that's Chicago Bears plus the 5.5. I'm upset I didn't get the 6, but now that the line's down to 3.5, I got a decent ticket in my pocket. And the reason's simple. Listen, Tampa Bay's legit. All the analytics support that. They're one of only 3 teams that are top 10 DVOA, offense and defense. If they could pick up that special teams, they could be the team to beat in the NFC, arguably. But what Chicago has is defense, and that'll keep them in a lot of games. And if you're getting points with a team with good defense, that's usually the side you want to be on. If they could give me 60 minutes of effort and keep the game close and be in a position to win, I think the cover should be there. The back door will always be open. And coming off a loss against Indianapolis at home, I think Chicago bounces back here. Granted, all their wins have been close, and they weren't against very good football teams, but they are still 3-1. And you can only play who's in front of you, and they beat those teams except for the Colts. But I do think they keep this game close. Would not be surprised if they win it outright, as Tampa Bay has Green Bay on deck. Let's not forget about that. I think it's a Thursday night game, if I'm not mistaken, or something along, or big game Sunday. I'm not even know, but I know it's Green Bay on deck. I had that circled. So again, probably not looking ahead because it's Thursday night, but still want to factor it in a tiny bit. I got Chicago. It's a premium play, so follow or fade, it's on you, but that's the side I'm on tonight. Lean over a little bit. I thought this total was a little low.
Let me ask you about this line move, because obviously you're like, I got down at 5.5. I'm disappointed I missed the 6. Now, I mean, there's a 4 at Bovada. It's mostly 3.5. And gosh, I'm looking, there's just as many 3s as there are 3.5s right now.
3s.
Given the current number, would you still put a half unit on the Bears? Would you not touch it anymore?
No, I wouldn't bet it. If I wouldn't release it, I wouldn't bet it, Teddy, to be honest with you. I would look for a better spot to get my money in. Listen, I get it. We're in the business where people want us to give them opinions, especially on primetime televised game. But my brand's built about winning long term, so I don't have that luxury of just giving out picks for the sake of selling a package. And because of that, I wouldn't give out Chicago at +3, because even if they cover the spread, I don't think they got the best of it. And my goal is to just do that and not sweat the result. And if I'm going to be honest about that, I have to stick to it all the time. And I can't sweat the result. I got to just focus on placing good bets. And I think we did at 5.5 because it's down to 3, like you said, in a lot of shops. I can't say that at +3 unless it closes at pick'em or 2. And I don't think it's going to do that. Since it's not going to do that, I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't give it out.
Yeah, and guys, remember what George DeCaesar said yesterday on WagerTalk Today? If you can't get the number, don't bet the play.
There's better
Who said that
spots.
yesterday?
Better spots.
Stop. Who said that yesterday?
Arthur. I said George.
Thank you.
Bite me. Go away,
Bite
Teddy.
yourself. Bite
We're
yourself,
all being
dude.
Gianni'd right now. Let's let him shine. Another game with a big line move. Yeah, baby. Well, you're the one that picked the game, so these better be layups. Another game with big line move, brother. Indianapolis. Before I went to bed, -1.5. It went to 3 on Monday versus Cleveland. 46 is the total. Should be a fun game. We'll find out if Indy's defense is for real. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this game up because maybe share some info that could help the viewers. I know there's sharp money on both sides. I got a group that came in on Indianapolis on the money line with me as soon as this game opened. I have another one that came in and took the points with the Cleveland Browns. So there's a difference of opinions from both guys that win long term that like the opposite sides. But what I did agree with, and the move that we got down on, is the under 47. And usually I'd be a little hesitant because you have such a good defense in Indianapolis. And when you have great defenses, a lot of time it's the perfect storm for an over. You got a low total coupled with short fields, possible turnovers, and points end up being scored. But in this game, you have a Cleveland Browns team, which is the opposite end of the spectrum. Offense versus defense with Indianapolis and Cleveland. We know what Cleveland does. They score points. But I think Indianapolis will be able to dictate that game, the tempo, and I think it'll be a lot lower scoring. We got down at under 47. I still think there's value at 46. This week, the totals are finally up to where the scoring is. I've talked about it all week. I'm sure you guys have touched on it as well, so no reason to rehash it. But I do think this is the week where we are going to start seeing the regression because of, if you add up those totals, divide by the amount of games, it's right where the scoring is for the NFL. That hasn't been the case throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, 4 weeks of the season. So I do think we're going to start to see more unders going forward if this trend continues. And this is one of those games I did bet under.
So the Colts currently rank number 1 in the NFL in total defense, number 1 in the NFL in opposing quarterback passing rating, and number 1 in the NFL in yards per play allowed, which is pretty darn good defensive numbers. They played the Jags, the Vikings on their worst day, the Jets, and the Bears. What do we do with those numbers? Do we buy them? Do we sell them? Do we look at Indy and being this defense is way overvalued because they really haven't played anybody? Or is this a defense that the numbers are telling us a truth and the markets may not be adjusting appropriately for a Colts defense that's saying all the right things and doing all the right things through the first quarter of the season?
What a great way to look at it. I love the way you approach games, Teddy, honestly, not just saying that because we're on this show, because that's exactly what we need to be thinking as handicappers. Are they legit? NFL is a small sample size sport. You don't have a long time to make up your mind, and you can only play who's in front of you. Why I do think the Colts are for real is because they really have outperformed the betting market, meaning those were some bad teams they beat, but they did damage. Over the last 3 games, they've outperformed the betting market by 34.5 points. So they're playing better, a lot better, even than market expectations. Now, I will say that their defense is probably playing better than they ultimately would against NFL average, because I don't think the Jets and Minnesota are the NFL average defenses. They're very poor. But I do think they're not as good as number 1, like we have them. But I think they're a top 5 defense, arguably. And when the season ends, I think that'll still be the case, barring injuries.
Great stuff, Gianni. Look, for me, and I know you didn't ask me, Teddy, but I think it's a sell on that defense. Gianni, Sunday night's game, Minnesota, now +7 at a lot of books. They're playing Seattle, 57.5. I got to look at the dog here and kind of hoping you do too. Talk me into this Minnesota team.
Yeah, I do lean Minnesota, man. How can you not? Seattle's been just doing so good, and even against I don't even know what to say about this team. Should be 4-0, should they be 4-0? A lot of those games, I haven't gotten a grip on this team yet. That's why I lean Minnesota, but I think the under's the way to go. I know a lot of guys that like the over in this game, saying, they're just going to take turns going up and down the field scoring. I get it. That appears what these teams have done, at least the Seattle side. But when you got to get 60 points to cash a ticket, you're asking for a lot. You need more than 2 touchdowns per quarter. You got to average. So if one of those drives is long and a team settles for a field goal or worse, misses a field goal, all of a sudden, man, the probability of that decreases significantly. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable going over a 57, even in today's NFL. Maybe wait and look at in-game how it plays out before you do that. But I actually like the under in this game. You may be holding your breath, but I can't get any more basic than it's 58 points. This is the NFL. Yeah. I get what Seattle's done. I see that they've scored 31 points or more. I get it. Minnesota's defense is porous. I get it. Minnesota's put up 30 points plus their last 2 weeks. But still, man, you're talking about a number that I haven't seen anywhere on Minnesota's schedule, not even anywhere on Seattle's schedule, except back, when they played Dallas and it moved there this season. I think they're just going back to 58s too quickly with this Seattle team. Again, we could see 100 points scored, and I just don't think you're getting the best of it going over. I think this total's too high. I like the under. Maybe it's the old school in me, but I just think this total's just way too high, and it just don't get simpler than that explanation.
Yeah, and Gianni, we saw in the Atlanta-Green Bay game, 2 teams that are, Aaron Rodgers over 30, 35 points every game. They come in, they march down to the 1 yard line, they get stopped. Next thing you know, 10 minutes taken off the clock.
Everything changes.
So, yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, you can't be betting those overs. With all that said, guys, stay tuned because I guarantee you Ralph is in his database right now finding out how many games are 57 and how many went over the total. Teddy, you got a question?
No, I got to say that, in fact, Ralph is going to tell us that you can bet games over 57 and over 58. And if you've looked
I'm sure
at
will.
the NFL long term over the last 10 years, when you said you can't bet overs, you damn well, if you've been betting overs on these highest total games, you've done very well. So you can bet these games over. If the individual matchup doesn't play out, like John doesn't like this individual matchup for Seattle, you say, okay. But to say you can't play overs on these
to
games.
blindly bet
Yeah,
unders
you can,
because they're
and then
that
you miss
high.
out, you miss out on
Of
opportunities.
course not. That's like saying
Right.
taking double-digit dogs anymore. You just can't do it. You can't just blindly do it. I get it. But, yeah, it just seemed like it was a primetime game. It's Seattle versus Minnesota. It's inflated. I think this total should be closer to that 54, 55 range. I think they put it up that high because we saw them do it with Dallas. It's a primetime game. The narrative's been points, points, points. Again, like you said, the sample size will support that you can go over and turn profit over 55. So I'm sure it'll show that. But I don't think this matchup and the game being a primetime game, I just don't like it. I don't see it.
Guys, Gianni the Greek, he likes Tampa Bay. He likes the Bears tonight, but not so much at 3. He likes the under in the Indy Cleveland game and the under in the Minnesota Seattle game. I'm literally getting text from we need to get the show over soon. There's something about you, Gianni, that I got work to do later on today. What do you got to promote?
What I didn't get that. What did I do? What happened? Something bad? No.
You get my woman all excited, bro. Then she starts texting me in the middle of the damn show.
60-minute man, baby. 60-minute man. Listen, luckily, like I said, I came off a tough 2-month stretch, and I still am profitable for the year. So the next 3 months, I'm going to do a shitload of damage. You could either jump on or watch it from the sidelines, but I will do damage. Real quickly, today in Miami Marlins, first 5 innings, over 1.5 team total. Very sharp. It could lose. They could get shut out, but I gave it out to subscribers as a 4% play. This group's been doing real good with these props, so follow or fade, it's on you. Over 1.5 Miami Marlins first 5. Thanks for having me.
Jesus Christ. Does that come with a Floby? You remember the Floby?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
That's what you should be doing, dude. You should be that guy with the boat. Yeah, man. You are as good as they get. We love having you, brother. Get out of here. We got a quick break.
Love
Teddy's
both,
big
man.
game
Shout
breakdown.
out.
Ralph Michaels.
Shout out to Viv.
I'll shout. Sorry. Oh, nice wig there, baby.
Guys.
Yeah. Get out of here, Joe. Get him off.
Marco is coming off a big week last week as he went 6-3 in football and is on a 10-3 run in all sports combined. Marco is hitting 67% of the year in college football. Going back to last season, Marco is 44-27 with his last 71 plays in college and pro football. That's 62% winners. This Sunday, Marco is releasing his 5% NFL Game of the Month. Last Sunday, Marco cashed with his 5% NFL high roller play on Indianapolis -2.5, a 19-11 winner. Get all of Sunday's NFL plays highlighted by Marco's 5% NFL Game of the Month for $39. Check it out at WagerTalk.com.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today, and it's time for our big game breakdown. Tonight's ESPN Showdown between Houston and Tulane. Right now, the Cougs, about a 7-point home favorite, total bouncing between 59 and 60. Let's call it 59.5 right now. Of course, Prez has a 5% play up on this game. If you want, you can ignore my analysis and just go by Prez's play for this one. Again, a 5%er tonight. He has been very good in college football. But let's talk about this game because it's a bizarre circumstance. It's, the second week of October, and this is Houston's first game. Tulane's played 4 games already. And, Willie Fritz, it's very unusual. They've had some tough luck with different schools not being able to field the team, so I feel for them. I know that's difficult. Not on the field, you don't feel for them. Dana Holgorsen, Houston's head coach. We're used to this. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be upset, but you can't hang on to it. We're ready to go. We're healthy. We're in a good place. We're prepared. We're eager, and we're motivated. So it's a unique circumstance. Houston can be expected to make some first game mistakes tonight, but the quotes out of Houston are certainly positive ones. And there's one negative for Tulane, having played 3 games already. Injuries. They've lost their starting running back, who's a stud, out for the year. They've already made a QB change, although they brought in the Frosch last time out against Southern Miss, and he absolutely lit them up from a situational standpoint. So Tulane's got injuries. Tulane's made a QB change. It's Houston's first game, Tulane's fourth. It's definitely worth talking about Houston's talent level because this is a team that went 4-8 last year. Their quarterback transferred. There were team chemistry problems. The Holgorsen era wasn't going well. And in the offseason, what we saw was 33 new guys in the program, transfers from all over the country coming in to play for Holgorsen at Houston. And Houston's certainly going to remember what happened last year when Tulane won by a touchdown, 38-31, a 53-yard touchdown pass with 3 seconds left. It was the worst game of Houston's miserable season. They'll remember it. The last time Tulane went to visit Houston was a blowout. Houston killed them. It was 48-17. This time around, the Green Wave hope to make things closer. I wouldn't be surprised if they do, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if this is a relatively high-scoring affair that gets up and over the total. Back to you, Prez.
Thank you, Teddy, and thank you for pointing out I got a 5% play on that game tonight. Guys, make sure to stay with us after this show ends. We got Q&A with Ralph Michaels, Teddy Covers, and myself. And also, Teddy, a bunch of guys are backdrop by our great fearless leader, Johnny Detroit. One of the guys with the funniest comment ever. I've been betting, I don't remember which team, but he's been betting a team that's up on that board because AJ Burnett is starting. He's done it every day for 2 months. Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
That's classic. Another guy's still trying to find the Montreal Expos to bet, and Johnny sees the Houston Oilers up there. Dude, on me. I will pay. Get a new backdrop. Ralph Michaels, where are you, baby? Oh, we love you, Ralph. Red pen today. Ralph, I'm insisting you start matching the pens to your shirts. Can you do that for us?
No, I used the green for a couple days and that. And, Annie sent me blue pens too, so thank you. It's, just forward those to Ralph Michaels, Las Vegas. Teddy, I'm gonna expand on something you said. How many people that don't know the numbers, that are not astute handicappers say, well, hell, Tulane's playing their fourth game. That's a huge edge over Houston playing their first. How about if I told you this? This season, the team that has played their first game against an opponent that's played multiple games, like Houston tonight, has gone 8-1-1 against the spread. How about if I tell you since 1997, when you've played a conference game and you're playing your first game of the season against an opponent that's played multiple games, you have gone 26.9%. So the team with more games under their belt, 26.9% going all the way back to 1997. So just one of those myth or fact things that I want to look up for you. Reach out to me on Twitter. I'll try to help answer them. And, those are the kind of things we like to answer for people here instead of thinking in your head, oh, that's a huge advantage because you have that situation. So, angle of the day. Let's talk about something else that doesn't occur very often. What happens when your NFL coach gets fired midseason? Well, since 2000, there have been 36 head coaches that have been fired midseason in the NFL. What have the interims done in their first game? Since 2000, they've gone 13-23 against the spread, 36.1%, and that includes only going 1-5 ATS the last 3 years. Houston's certainly in a unique situation because they're a favorite as an interim. That's only happened 9 other times. The favorite has gone 3-6 ATS. And how about this? Houston is the first time in 36 games that a team has been favored by over 6 points with an interim head coach. So, yes, I understand they're the better team. Yes, I understand they're playing Jacksonville. Take that all with a grain of salt.
So I'd be very curious to see those numbers broken down by month. Because what happens, a lot of times the bad teams in December will fire their coach in week 14 or week 15 or week 16, and you have no-shows. Whereas when you get a coach fired in October, it's such a disappointing team. They've so underachieved to get him fired. I'd be curious if you'd have better results, ATS, for backing those teams in their first game with a coach being fired earlier in the year.
I am not going to have that in the next second, but in 24 hours in this exact same spot, I will have those results for you. Teddy talked about saying I like the over, and I am going to go with the over as my situational play of the day. You know, it is a spot. I'm not worried about points. You can have a very fake point total by scoring defensive touchdowns, by scoring special teams touchdowns, by a team turning the ball over on the 1 yard line and only having one score. But this is what I'm concerned with. It's rare to get two teams that are number 29 and number 25 in yards per play allowed. To me, that's the key, the yards per play. Seattle's number 29, Minnesota number 25. They're allowing 6.46 and 6.14 yards per play. Let's flip it on the opposite side. These teams are number 2 and number 4 in offensive yards per play. You never find those type of situations. Seattle's averaging 6.66 yards per play. The Vikings averaging 6.42 yards per play. And then I've heard some people say, oh, Seattle has a good rush defense because they're allowing only 76 yards per game. I call BS. The only reason teams are only running for 76 yards per game is because they're throwing for 401 yards per game. I went through the NFL database the last 30 years just to put this in perspective. I understand we're only 4 games in. I understand this is a small sample size anomaly. But to put it in perspective, the worst pass D in the last 30 years in the NFL were the Green Bay Packers in 2011. They allowed 299.8 yards per game. So no NFL team has ever allowed 300 yards the last 30 years. Seattle's allowing 400 to this point. And we mentioned earlier when you were talking to VR, he leans with the under. No, I understand his reasoning. And trust me, I'm as old school as anyone. So for me to like an over at this number, you would think I'm drunk or something. But since 1989, there have been 30 totals in the NFL of 57 or higher. They have gone 21, 8-1 over under 72.4%.
And Ralph, you made one excellent point that I have to emphasize here, even though we're almost out of time. You talked about how the aggregate yards numbers, how many rushing yards a team allows per game, or how many passing yards, those aren't the numbers that handicappers are interested in. And they're often very misleading. The numbers that matter on the defense side of the football, yards per play, yards per pass attempt, yards per rush attempt, not the aggregate number of passing or rushing yards that they allowed. Agree?
Absolutely, Teddy. You and I know it. If one number's high, the other number's low for a reason. So, and again, I don't look at yards per game on offense and defense. I look at yards per game diff. It's the telling factor of how good a team is. I'll quickly run through this. Yes, we mentioned this yesterday, Teddy, how for the previous 4 years, the over-unders have been 50% the first 4 weeks. This year, they're 62%. And I pointed out that 12% difference on over-unders was really only a 5.2 scoring points per game. This year, we're up 5.2 points per game over the previous 4 years. This year, the totals are up 2.1 points per game over the previous 4 years. Listen to what the adjustment in the NFL has been. Week 1, average total 45.8. Week 2, up to 46.3. Week 3, up to 48.2. Week 4, up to 49.5. This week, average total, 50.6 points per game. Those people jumping on the bandwagon late, there was only a 3-point gap from 50% to 62%. The totals this year from week 1, they've increased every week. They are up 4.8 points per game, week number 5. That value is gone. Do not chase a record that is in the past when Vegas has caught up to you.
Great stuff, Ralph. And yeah, we spoke about that on the NFL presidential address. I loved all of it. Your info is incredible. Guys, stay with us. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back with questions and answers. Put your questions up in the chat room. Joe will then put them up on the screen. We'll get to them. Also, everybody make sure that my face appears in a commercial on Bet On It next week. So go on every show we do and tell them, because we had to see Marco. I want them to see me and Teddy. Anyway, Joe, take us to a break and let's get right back to Q&A.
This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $1.99. Why pay $1.19 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $1.99? If you buy today, it's $1.99. If you buy tomorrow, it's $1.99. And if you buy Saturday, it's $1.99. Get up to 25 days for only $1.99. So pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at SportsMemo.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Wager Talk's Thursday Q&A period. You guys can ask us any question you want. It doesn't even have to be related to sports. We are here to help. Ralph Michaels, Teddy Covers. Last week went awesome. Joe, let's get that first question up for us. Handicapper, do you create power ratings to reflect what you believe the spread should be, or should your power ratings project the actual score difference? What a really great question. Teddy Covers, I'll go to you first.
And the answer is I make my power ratings. It's very simple. I'm not trying to predict anything. I'm not trying to gauge what the market's going to be. I'm putting my number for Team A and my number for Team B. I'm subtracting the difference and factoring in home field and injuries. It's not designed to predict the final score. It's simply designed to give me a concept of where I think this line should be, and if I can find value moving off of where the number is in the markets versus where I'm seeing my number. Ralph, do you agree or disagree?
Totally agree. And I'll also say this, while you start your handicapping with a power rating number, I have actually had maybe a 6 or 7 point difference in my number once you start handicapping the game, because you look at injuries, you look at matchups, you look at teams off upset wins, off upset losses, off teams with banged up offensive lines against great defensive lines. So it is just a gauge to start your handicapping, and then all the other processes go into place.
Great answers, guys. Next question. Robert McIntosh, never seen your name before. Can you please explain why buying a half point occasionally is a losing proposition in football or basketball, but betting a 160 line in baseball is not? Ralph, you want to take this? I mean, I can handle this question, but Ralph, you want to go?
Yeah, well, buying a half point, you're paying 10%. And if you look at the numbers that game that fall within a half point of the line, you're going to see that it's well under 10%, so you're losing value. In baseball, you have no option. If you feel one team is better than the team, you're laying that number, or you're laying the 1.5 runs, which puts it in a different perspective. So the answer is this. If you're betting baseball, you have no other option. In football, you have the option to not waste the extra 10% you're paying for buying the half a point.
Yeah, let me sorry, Teddy, let me add to that quickly, if you don't mind. So if you're looking, and Ralph brought this up a few weeks ago on WagerTalk Today, if you're looking at 3 to 3.5, you're on a 3.5 and you buy down to 3, that has affected games about 8.6% of the time, so just under 9%. You might be paying 20% to buy something that only happens 9%. You're shaking your head?
It's not 20%, it's 20 cents. You're not going to pay 20% of your wager. It's a big difference between 20% and 20 cents if you're trying to explain something to someone.
Okay, fine. You're paying 20 cents to gain 8.6 cents. The other thing is, when you're looking at betting baseball and you say minus 200, minus 500. What you're asking there is, will this team win 2 out of 3 times they play, 4 out of 5 times they play? So the minus 160, the minus 180 in baseball isn't a mathematical equation against the point spread. It's, do you think they will win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5? Teddy, you want to add something quick?
Yeah, just last thing. A money line versus a point spread, they're the same thing. They're just represented differently. All right. Minus 160 is the moral equivalent to an NFL minus 3. Okay. You can play all your NFL and all your college football on the money line. You can play all your NBA on the money line. It's a direct correlation for what the point spread is to what the money line is. There's no variance there. There really isn't. So it's just different ways to get at the same bet. In football and basketball, we tend to deal with point spreads. Good question.
Yeah, great point. Great question, great point, and something that, a lot of guys do, man. Constant buying half points. Next question. Paula da Silva. That's a soccer name if I've ever heard one. Paulo da Silva. What should I do when 2 cappers are on opposite sides of the play? Don't play it. Next question.
I have a different answer. I have a different answer. I have a totally different answer. There are going to be 2 cappers on the opposite side of every play in the world. So
That's
you're
a good
talking
point.
about two cappers that you bought, two cappers that you found on the internet, two guys that you watched
cappers he
watching
bought. He
ABC
asked this
TV.
question yesterday.
Okay, well, I
He
didn't know
bought
that,
two
but
cappers at Wager Talk. They were against each other.
okay, I'll if you're buying two cappers, that's one thing, but the opposite is, if there is one that's doing very well and one that's doing very poorly, I wouldn't let the one affect me. I would play the guy who's a hotter handicapper. If I'm reading his write-up and I believe in his write-up and it makes sense that what it is, and I like this game anyway and the capper was on it, I would play the capper that had the better write-up, that was hotter, that I liked. So to me, it's not don't play it. I would have a different answer.
Okay. I would not play it personally. I mean, Teddy, what would you do?
I don't know. It's not
It
not an
depends
easy
which
question to
two.
answer. No,
Yeah.
but I mean,
It
this
depends which
is a
two.
legit question, and it's not an easy question to answer. When you say he's bought multiple packages, and you have handicappers that are on opposite sides of play, and you've read through the analysis, and you're like, I don't know, and you read through the picture, like, I don't know. I mean, what do you tell a capper, a client like that? I don't have the answer.
I think
That's why I don't work in customer service. That's why I work. My job is not to deal with. My job is only to try to pick games, and I leave that for the guys with the higher pay grade than me. I don't know.
Yeah, but with all that said, I always have Ralph talking in my head. He makes this incredible point on a regular basis. It's better to avoid a loser than to miss a winner. So from my perspective, using that in mind, I think you're just better off laying off the play. You're not that desperate to bet. Next question.
Well, just last thing. If you have an issue like that, you can always contact customer service, and they will. Yeah. I mean, what'll customer service tell them? They'll give you credit for something. If you have an issue where you have two packages and they're opposite sides,
the girls are awesome.
You'll get credit.
Customer service at WagerTalk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Mike Campbell, what's the most points off an opener are you willing to bet if the market moves in your direction? Like total is 52 moves to 50, and your first thought was under. Ralph, great question. Where do you sort of stop? And we had this with Gianni today. He talked about how he bet the Bears at plus 5.5. They're now down to 3.5, and he doesn't really want to bet them anymore. Where do you draw the line?
Okay, Michael, the question that makes this gray is opening number. And Teddy and I talked about this the other day. I don't care what the opening number is. The opening number is a number someone puts up, and someone bet $100 and it moves a half a point. They bet another $100 and it moves a half a point. If you're talking the openers when everything established on Tuesday, that's a different story, because that's when you're starting to get what the true line or what the Vegas line would be. I don't like being on the wrong end of a move, but I'll also say this, having done this for so long, we're seeing a lot of hurricane totals going to move this week because of Delta in the Gulf and the winds that are going to affect college football. If there's a situation that a line moved 5 points, but I still think there's value because the situation has changed from what the opening number was, then I'm not afraid to play that new number. If nothing has changed and the number has dropped, then in my mind, I won't play anything, over 2 points. So if something has changed, I'm not afraid to play it no matter how much the number has changed. If nothing has changed, I'm usually in that 2 point range where I really start to get queasy going against it.
And be very, very careful when you're talking about openers, because of all the bad information and misinformation that's out there, I think openers are as bad as it gets when it comes to the mainstream media and even us, in terms of explaining what the openers are. Circa might open a total at 58, and Penny opens it at 54, and BetOnline opens it at 61, and Westgate opens it at 52. Right? Doesn't happen a lot, but that does happen, especially early in the season. That happens where you see a dramatic difference from one book to the next, and other books are in between, and nobody knows what the right number is, and the markets decide what the right number is. And you look, you go, wow, there was a 7 point move on that total. No, there wasn't. There was a 7 point move at that one book because they posted an off-market number. Ralph talked about Tuesdays. Every Monday morning, bright and early, not Sunday night, but Monday morning, I write down what I consider to be the consensus numbers. And you can just go to the Wager Talk or the Sports Memo Live odds page and go look and say, what's the consensus number? What's the consensus number? Side and total. And I write them down for every game. And then I'm tracking the movements off of that. Not any individual books opener, but the broader market open. You say, how many points am I willing to bet off of that total? Let's put it this way. When I see the market move, I'm either going to make my bet right then or I'm probably going to leave the game alone. And that's advantage for having that live odds screen up all day. It literally is up all day on my, I've got a couple of screens up here. Yeah. On one of the screens, it's up all day, every day. So when you see the market start to move, you're not twiddling your thumb saying, well, should I or shouldn't I? You're making your bet right there, and then you're dealing with it afterwards.
And also, I just wanted to add something quick to that. Like in poker, when people tell stories, hey, I had kings, he had aces, what do you do? Or blah, blah, blah. There's so many variables in play here, guys. For instance, if it came out at -2.5 and it moved to -3.5, well, you might want to lay off. If it came out at -4.5 and it moved to -6, well, that doesn't matter as much. There are dead numbers and there are live numbers. And that is also very important. And the same with totals. 53 is a dead number. 51 is a live number. You got to pay attention to where it's moving.
That's not right, Prez. At least those aren't dead numbers. Ralph, give us some dead numbers.
53 is no longer a dead number in the NFL since the extra points moved back in 2015. I just had this argument with Marco. That's the only reason I know it in my head. That is a myth.
Okay, well then
it's less of a dead number than it. What would you consider 5 is meaningless in the NFL? And post 2-point conversions, 5. It's like 3, 7, 4, 6, 5.
Okay, but it's not. But with that said, there are different numbers.
Yeah. Prez, the biggest point I would take from this is you have to look at the percentage of the move. If you have a 2-point move from 41 to 43, that's much stronger than a 2-point move from 65 to 67. So look at the percentage of the move as well, especially in college football totals, when you could have a 40-point variance.
Great point. Joe, any more questions? One more question, guys. Scott Satut. I don't know that last name. I hope I got it right. If I didn't, I apologize for offending. How do you handicap a team that hasn't played a game yet this season like Houston tonight? Now, that is an outstanding question. And ultimately, Scott, we're faced with that question at the start of every season in every sport. Teddy, I'll go to you first.
Well, Ralph came out and gave some great information earlier in the show, talking about how the teams that haven't played actually have an edge in some regards over the teams that have played. The teams that have played their stuff on film, the teams that haven't played, you got nothing on film. And especially when we talk about a Houston team that has, 33 new bodies, transfers and JUCOs and all that coming in. You have to do as much reading as you possibly can. And you probably don't. In terms of my take is that, this is not a game that I would load up on one way or the other. What about you, Ralph?
I agree. This is a game that I'm just not going to touch. I'm going to watch and I'm going to learn from. Here's 2 points with the exact same game. Last week, Navy went to Air Force. The line opened pick'em. Navy flew up to -7. Why? Navy had 3 games under their belt. Air Force had none. Air Force was missing 40 players. Everyone thought Navy would walk all over them. They had a 3-game under their belt advantage to none, just like sort of Tulane tonight. But Coach Ken, head coach of Navy, said this is BS. I don't want to play the Commander-in-Chief trophy this year. Air Force is sitting there having 4 weeks to prep just for us. 4 weeks of just prepping for one team while we're prepping for our 4th team in 4 weeks. That gives them a huge edge. So, hey, it depends how you want to look at it. 2 different opposite sides for the same game.
That's just so 2020. It's brilliant. How do we create a narrative to help our own argument? Absolutely love that response. One more. No, we're done?
One final question.
Sorry, Joe's really quiet in my ear. One final question, and this. Oh, I knew. I absolutely. I knew without question. I knew without question. Prez, do you think I should show my wife Gianni's segment? Hell yeah! I mean, look. All our there. Look. That is classic. Hey, listen. When push comes to shove, if you've got the opportunity to get your wife hot and bothered, you're the only one that's going to benefit from that. So my answer is hell yeah, Teddy.
I don't want to show my wife pictures of Gianni before I get down with her. No, but I mean, I don't need
not
to.
Pictures. It's his high energy and magnetic field that he emotes.
Give me high energy.
Oh God, Joe, that is
God
awesome, guys. We love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be around tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern. Teddy, take us home.
Hey, enjoy the games tonight. Good luck. We'll be back again on Wager Talk Today in 22 hours and 40 minutes, Friday morning, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel.
This is not a trick, but it's a treat. Get the rest of October for just $1.99. Why pay $1.19 for 7-day all access when our Halloween special gets you every play through October 31st for only $1.99? If you buy today, it's $1.99. If you buy tomorrow, it's $1.99. And if you buy Saturday, it's $1.99. Get up to 25 days for only $1.99. So pay as little as under $8 a day for every play, including 5% best bets that normally sell for $40. This offer is valid through Sunday at midnight at WagerTalk.com and select handicappers at sportsmemo.com.